Welcome to Talks with Tracy, with certified hypnotherapist, life coach, and licensed mental health professional, Tracy Claremont. Tracy will share her healing journey and explore the many meaningful alternative healing methods in our world today that will support you in doing your own deepest emotional healing. So please welcome the host of Talks with Tracy, Tracy Claremont. Let the suffering end and the healing begin.
Hello and welcome to Talks with Tracy. I am your host, Tracy Claremont, coming to you live on the Bold Brave Television Network. Thank you all so much for joining me. I so appreciate everyone who takes the time to listen to my podcasts. And as always, thank you to Bold Brave Television Network for having me. So I was out on vacation last week and with my family. I take a vacation every year to the same place with my mom and my kids. And, I've done this yearly trip since I was a teenager to the same place. And it really holds a lot of meaning. My adult children spent their childhood going on this trip, and they join us. Some of them join us still, and my brother's kids, my nephews, they've joined us. Their kids now join us, and it's a really meaningful time, a really meaningful vacation time, and I love the time that I have with my mom. I just want to say before I start today, I just want to send a reminder to people to really honor those elders that we have in our family. I'm blessed to have my mom with me still, and I'm so thankful for that. I'm so thankful that my grandkids get to have the experience of being with their great grandma and their great grandpa on vacations like this or moments like this. It doesn't have to be a vacation. I just want to encourage you to really honor that and spend time with those people while you have them. I'm from a tribal community. I am tribal, and we spend a lot of time memorializing people after they've passed, which I love. I've done that myself. I've certainly been to many memorials. I've done memorials for loved ones of my own who have passed, and I really appreciate that. I just want to remind people too that the time to really, really honor and celebrate those people in our lives is when they're with us, when they're alive and with us, so that they know just how much they mean to us. And so I just wanted to, I felt the need to say that. So I wanted to. So that trip was really great. I'm so glad that I had it. And I'm also so very happy to be here back today on Talks with Tracy with all of you. So today I would like to talk about the difference between doing healing using the conscious mind and using the subconscious mind versus using the subconscious mind. I'd like to talk about what each one, the differences and the advantages, disadvantages of each. So, I like to try to provide explanations, simple explanations of these things. Excuse me. And then I like to also give examples of what those things can look like when they're put into action. And that's what I plan on doing today. So now in coming episodes, I'll be talking a lot about hypnotherapy, which is healing that's done in the subconscious part of our minds. So in thinking about how I wanted to lead into those episodes, it occurred to me that I really need to start at the beginning and talk about the differences between conscious mind and subconscious mind healing. I've been asked many times what the difference is between regular mental health therapy and hypnotherapy. So there's big differences actually. So I'd really like to talk and explain some of those today. Now, I am a licensed clinical social worker. I've had a traditional mental health therapy practice for over 30 years now. And I've shared on this show, the telling of my own story, my own personal growth, and how I moved through the majority of my life, kind of living according to absolutely living according to the expectations of others, how everybody expected me to behave and act. I did that through the majority of my life, and I did that in my career as well, all aspects of my life. And this living according to the expectations of others, it really caused me, it really influenced my work in the field of mental health. So in my own healing, it caused me actually to do things according to standard practice, the way I was supposed to do it, the way I was taught to do it, rather than how I felt I needed to do it. So I've shared my story, my own healing process. It's really a process that brought me to a place of gaining my own personal power back, which in turn allowed me to live my life as my true, authentic self, quite opposite of the way I lived for all of those many years. And, if you've listened to Talks with Tracy, episodes 1 and 2, and then I also did a part 3 recently of my own healing journey, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. This was a difficult and lengthy journey. And it took me a lot of time and hard work to get to that place of accepting myself, um, living my authentic life, speaking up for myself, doing things the way that I wanted to do them. So this healing process, like I said, it really influenced me in my career as well. I always knew that I didn't quite fit the mold of standard therapy, like doing things by the book kind of mental health therapy. I had learned it through my education, but it didn't ever quite fit for me. And I can remember when I first started doing therapy with people years and years ago, I felt completely unqualified to be doing therapy with people. Now, this was a lack of experience and confidence for sure. But I always felt like things didn't quite fit. I did have an amazing mentor by the name of Gita Swaney who did guide me and help me in all of this. And I really appreciated her in my early years. But nonetheless, I often felt at a loss for what I was doing and how I was doing it. A lot of times people would ask me, like, what model do you use for mental health therapy? Or what theoretical perspective do you come from in your mental health therapy? And I was like, what? So, I didn't like these questions. I did learn to answer them using the right verbiage and all of that. But I never really was fond of those questions. Yet, I would somehow go into a session with a client, and the client would come out, feeling so much better, feeling relief, feeling hopeful, all of these things. So I trusted that I knew how to do it. I just didn't really know how to put it in the terms of these accepted standard models and practices. So, I would really just find in session that things would flow out of me, and the words that the person was meant to hear would come out of me. I'd know what to say, and I'd be thankful for that every time. So, what I came to realize as I grew into my authentic self, as I grew to accept myself and value myself, was that my way of working with people is largely intuitive, and it's very strongly based in establishing genuine human connection. In fact, I now say that I specialize in the art of human connection. If I were to be asked today, like what model or theoretical perspective I come from, I would say just that. I would say that, I use the model and theory of genuine human connection, the art of relationship. So maybe people would understand this, maybe they wouldn't. I really don't care. That's what it is. So, I initially came to find after doing some years of psychotherapy with clients that I really had two primary goals when I would be in session with people, and those were to connect with them, as I said, and also to instill hope. Now, hope for an easier tomorrow, hope for relief, hope that you could get to a peaceful, joyful place in your life. I did this by providing kindness and compassion to them, and as they expressed their human experience, and as they shared their most vulnerable, tender thoughts and feelings, I came to specialize in like normalizing the human experience for people and validating thoughts and feelings that people have. There's so much healing to be had in that process. Now, that's how I initially did work with clients. And now, post significant, meaningful healing of my own, I've shifted that primary goal some. I've shifted to still the genuine connection with people, for sure. But I also, I shifted that hope to being that of belief. my number one priority is to get people to a place where they can believe in the healing and believe that it's available to them. So belief rather than hope. I came to realize that, hope is great. It allows us to move forward with expectation and desire and a want for something to happen, something to come to fruition. That's really good. I even got the word hope, can you see that, tattooed on my wrist. And I did this after I had lost a daughter and my little sister. And I was needing a reminder, a constant reminder. That's why it's on my wrist, to remain hopeful for a relief. That relief is possible, that relief will come. But I have to say that with that hopefulness, I didn't actually know if that was available to me, if it could really happen. So, belief rather than hope. And now, like I said, my goal is to instill belief rather than hope, because I have come to learn through my own experience and through my work with people that I have to believe something is possible in order for it to come to fruition. I had to stop passively hoping for something, for some kind of relief, and start actively believing in that relief. And that, belief, it speaks to action, and belief creates power. Belief is trust and faith and confidence that things can in fact be better. Relief is available to me. Now, I can't tell you how many people I've had in therapy who do not believe there could be any true relief for their suffering. They simply do not believe that it's available to them. So, where do you start with a client like that? Well, I would start by having them believe in me, that I could guide them in that healing. And I tell them, I actually tell them that I can get them to that place so that they can start believing. If they can't believe in themselves, in their own ability to heal, then they can believe in me and my ability to help them get there. And then eventually we get to that place where they have an understanding of their own ability to heal, to do their own healing, because we all know we can only heal ourselves. We can be guided, but I can't do the healing for anybody but myself. But I can support somebody and guide somebody to that place where they start to believe. And that's where they go within and understand that they can do this healing. And that's a beautiful thing. So I specialized in, genuine human connection. There's so much to be said for simply active listening, validating thoughts and experiences of others, where you say, anyone in your situation who had this experience would feel the same way. That's so meaningful. Joining in the understanding, no judgment, all of these things come with therapeutic experiences. Being that safe shoulder to cry on, so to speak, and providing that safe environment to share. So, yeah, if we're thinking about models of practice, maybe we could call this, maybe this model would be the art of not aloneness, right? Or the art of making people feel that they matter. Maybe that's the model. We all do battle with that not good enough feeling, myself included. Um, you know, oh my goodness, I spent years in that, the majority of my life, with that sense of not mattering, not enoughness, and not wanting to put myself out there. So, maybe we could put this in super positive terms as well. I like to think in positive ways rather than to use kind of negative words. So maybe we could call this the art of worthiness, right? Maybe we could have it be that model of enoughness, that model of worthiness. Maybe we could be like champions of enoughness. Ooh, I like that. Maybe we could become champions of worthiness, starting with ourselves, of course. So, I could say, I am a champion of enoughness. I am a champion of worthiness. Um, and I specialize in genuine human connection that allows others to believe in that meaningful emotional healing is available to them. Yeah, I like that. Maybe I should put that on my wall or make business cards of it. Something, get that kind of message out there. I am a champion of enoughness. I am a champion of worthiness who specializes in genuine human connection that allows for others to believe that meaningful emotional healing is available to them. It's available to us all, in fact. All right. I like that. So I get really excited about this stuff. I'm getting a little off track. I apologize for that. So again, just remember that believing that relief is available to you is so important for that healing to happen. And I can guarantee it is available to all of us, but you must believe. All right, so I'm going to be talking about relief that comes from conscious mind work and subconscious mind work. In the coming segments, it's actually time to take a commercial break right now. When I come back, I'll be talking about healing in the conscious mind, and I'll give you an example of what this can look like, what a therapeutic process can look like. So please join me after the break. You're watching Talks with Tracy on Bold Brave Television Network. We'll be right back.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back to Talks with Tracy, with me, Tracy Claremont, coming to you live on the Bold Brave Television Network. Thank you for joining me once again. So as I mentioned in the last segment, I've been a licensed clinical social worker doing mental health therapy for 30 plus years now. In fact, I still have a private practice here in Montana where I do mental health therapy with people. So this is work in the conscious mind, and it can really be very helpful. If I didn't believe that it was helpful, then I certainly wouldn't be doing it today. I will say it's a slower process than doing work in the subconscious mind, but meaningful and helpful nonetheless. So what is it? So traditional mental health talk therapy, it's often referred to as psychotherapy. There's many different models for therapy, for talk therapy, and including cognitive behavioral therapy, which actually is the most common and widely used therapy. And that's where you guide people in making connections between thoughts and feelings and behaviors. There's dialectical behavior therapy, and this is a therapy that is really focused on teaching skills to people to regulate emotion and reduce self-harm behaviors, suicidality. There's psychodynamic therapy, which I really love because this is about where you go into past experiences and you uncover those repressed emotions that are influencing you and impacting you in your daily life today. There's exposure therapy. That's where you are exposed to, situations and activities that create an incredible amount of anxiety and fear in you. There's just a long list of different kinds of therapies, and there's also therapies other than talk therapy, like play therapy and art therapy and animal assisted therapy, like equine therapy. Those are all great things. There's even things like somatic therapy, which focuses on identifying what parts of your body you hold your emotion in, drawing attention to that and releasing that emotion. So there's just so many great conscious mind therapeutic models out there. Um, but, like I said, all of these are a slower process than doing work in the subconscious mind. So why would that be? Why is it such a slower process? I've talked many times about doing deep emotional healing, the kind that puts an end to that emotional suffering. And I've talked about how it requires going to those most vulnerable, sensitive, most tender places, the most protected emotional spaces in your psyche. It requires you to be fearless, and perhaps hardest of all, it really requires a certain level of trust in mental health therapy with the person you're sharing those thoughts and feelings with. So, my mentor that I mentioned earlier, Dr. Gita Swaney, she described this as being, she would say that your client needs to trust you to walk them all the way to the edge of the cliff, right? And they need to trust that you can look over the edge of that cliff and peer into their most painful experiences and emotions, peer over, and they need to trust you to hang on to them and not let them fall in. That is the process of mental health therapy as she described it. Now, is it easy to trust somebody when you have these serious emotional injuries that have been caused by other people? Well, no, it's not. And I always say that my first sessions with clients are aimed at helping them to feel safe within the environment, safe so that they can begin to build a trust relationship with me and build that human connection that's essential to the healing. So, trusting the relationship, and to trust a relationship, it really requires repeated positive, trustworthy experiences with somebody. And this often takes a lot of time in therapy, many sessions. So, when you go to those deep, dark, vulnerable spaces, when a person accesses those spaces, um, they begin to feel the emotions attached to those experiences, and that activates their nervous system. It causes their defense mechanisms to rise up to protect, those defense mechanisms that you've spent years and years and years fine tuning to protect yourself emotionally. All of those are, they are activated when your nervous system is activated. And in conscious mental health therapy, those things do activate when you go to those places. And, sometimes people will revert back to those defense mechanisms uh, to avoid going to those places, even in therapy. I remember working with one teenager who, one session, she finally decided to really open up and talk about her experience and how she really felt and what she really wanted. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. You did so well with that. And she was like, yeah, I did it. I finally did it. And then she says, it only took me 2 years. And she wasn't exaggerating. It literally took her 2 years to get to that place where she felt safe enough to open up. And let me tell you, it was a glorious moment when that happened, because then, she could really start to um, honor her own experience and beliefs and feelings and work on those things. So, obviously, this was a child who had experienced so many disrupted relationships and had been abandoned and betrayed by adults in her life. So, of course, it took a long time for her to trust this adult in her life. So, a lot of times these feelings, one of the emotions that is attached to when we get down to how we really feel about these experiences in ourselves, it's a sense of shame, and shame is really a difficult emotion to work with. In fact, it's one of our most vulnerable feelings, one of our absolute most tender spots. So, as I said earlier, the majority of us that we operate off of some kind of version of not good enoughness, not enoughness, and that ignites that feeling of shame. Um, that shame about the very person that we are, that so many of us hold. And when we feel shame, it's based in fear. So it activates our nervous system like crazy. We experience fight, flight, freeze. And this response, it has to be worked through and around when you're doing work in the conscious mind. So shame can be crippling. There's so much shame felt in the experience of trauma, even when you have had no responsibility in the trauma experience, you still feel so much shame around that. So now once trust is established in a therapeutic relationship, then you can begin to draw these experiences out and guide a client in developing awareness around the emotions that they're experiencing and their reactivity to the emotions. And that's when, that's when the therapeutic work really gets to, uncovering and working through and processing. So sometimes this is a process of general education about how the mind works. That can be helpful. I often explain how when an emotion related to a past experience is activated, it causes us to be, it causes like a big emotional reaction, right? And that's what we call a trigger, being triggered. So, how can you tell when you're being triggered? Well, it'll be when you're having a huge emotional reaction to something that is relatively minor. In fact, you may be having a reaction to something that you're perceiving that isn't even actually happening. So let me give you an example of this from my own life. So a couple of weeks ago, I was triggered by something my poor, unsuspecting husband did. And I don't know if he's listening this morning, but if you are, babe, I have worked my way through this, and I did it in a way that did not cause harm to our relationship. Yay, me. So anyways, I actually didn't even tell them that all this happened. I was maybe hiding my crazy brain a little bit. So we were aware at my daughter's we were away at my daughter's softball tournament, and my husband had stayed back at the motel while I went to the last game of the day. So after the game, I called him and said, "Hey, me and our daughter, we're going to go to the pizza party with the softball team, and we'll be back in an hour or so." And when I said that, he kind of paused on the phone and he said, "Okay, I guess I will just eat at the Perkins downstairs." All right, seems harmless enough, right? Well, given my past experience in past relationships, I heard this with a tone and in a way that it wasn't even delivered at all. I in my head, I had put it in a tone that I had heard so many times in the past. That tone like, poor me, I'm going to have to do this, while you go and have fun. That kind of tone and wording that wasn't even there. So, I immediately felt a pull to like drop what I wanted to do and go to him, make sure his emotions were okay and that he was taken care of, and deny what I wanted to do. That was a behavior from my past, that a kind of a knee-jerk reaction, which I didn't do. So all of this caused me, my nervous system to activate, right? And I suddenly was on the fight in my head. I was like, nobody is going to manipulate me, again, ever again, into not doing what I want to do. If he wants to, if he wants to come here, he can come here. I'm not responsible for his feelings. I've spent too many years being controlled and told what to do, not doing what I want to do. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. All of this, I was like in full fight mode in my head with my husband. And all he had said was, "Okay, I will go downstairs. Or I will go eat in the Perkins downstairs." So these are my issues being activated. Now, thankfully, I have done enough work on myself and enough healing within to have a good degree awareness to recognize these things, to utilize coping skills. I mean, obviously, I'm a work in progress. I still have work to do. But what I chose to do was use those coping strategies and remain calm on the outside, look like I was okay at the pizza party, and I did so. And then as we were going back to the motel, I used another coping strategy, which was positive self-talk. And I said, okay, Trace, let's just wait till we get back to the motel to see if this is even happening. So we went back to the motel, into the room where my husband was, and he was welcoming us in. He was asking us if we had a good time. He was genuinely hoping we had. So thank God I had some self-awareness that allowed me to have self-control, because I could have made this into a big fight had I not had this. I mean, just 20 minutes earlier, I was fighting in my head for my freedom and my autonomy, all unnecessarily. None of these things that were triggered in me were actually happening. So now later, when I had some time to talk, I kind of peeled back the layers to see what that was all about. I did this therapeutic process in my mind, and it's a process that I would do with the client if they brought this situation to me. So you peel away the layers, and I realized in a past relationship, I didn't use my voice. In a past relationship, I didn't say what I wanted to do. I didn't, especially if it could possibly impact the happiness of others. I sacrificed everything I wanted to do. In a past relationship, I was manipulated into doing things that other people wanted, and I was controlled. In the past, I was certainly, what I wanted wasn't a priority, not even considered. And in the past, I was made to feel like I didn't matter. So I was able to peel away the layers. I was able to use coping strategies. And, in a therapy session, you would do that. You would talk about what was triggered, what emotions you felt. You'd peel away the layers. You talk about coping strategies and how you might handle that situation in the future. So work in the conscious mind, it is a slower process because you have to build trust, you have to get past defenses, you have to work your way around activated nervous systems and whatnot. But there are a lot of great things to be gained by the conscious mind process in mental health therapy if you so choose that. And I encourage you to choose whatever is most comfortable for you. So it is time to take a brief commercial break. When we return, I will be talking about one of my favorite things, and that is work in the subconscious mind, giving you examples of that. So do a little self-care out there. I will do the same, and we will be right back.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back to Talks with Tracy with me, Tracy Claremont, coming to you live on the Bold, Brave Television Network. Thank you once again for joining me. Now, in the last segment, I talked about doing healing using your conscious mind, which is traditional mental health therapy. Now, I would like to talk about doing healing using the subconscious mind. It's one of my very favorite topics to talk about. It is, healing on the subconscious mind is hypnotherapy. It's also a thing called EMDR. Those are things that are ways to work in the subconscious mind. So in the last segment, I used myself as an example of what a conscious mind therapeutic process may look like, and that was that peeling back the layers, starting with the experience that triggered me and identifying feelings, emotions, beliefs, and just kind of getting to where that core issue, getting all the way down to that feeling that I didn't matter. Now, I want to ask the question: how likely would I be to get even deeper than that into the healing? How likely would I be to get even deeper than that in regular mental health therapy using my conscious mind? How, like, could I get to that understanding of where the I don't matter originated at? Would I be able to figure out the core experiences, where those false beliefs, where those emotions come from? So, and would I have ever developed my awareness around the belief that I have shared, that I held for the majority of my life, that being I need to remain hidden to be safe? Could I have ever figured that out in traditional mental health therapy? I say no, I would not have. So I wouldn't have been able to really get to the core and do that healing. The reason I say no is that I had no conscious memory of the experiences that set all of that into motion. I was completely in the dark about those experiences in my conscious mind. So while we were on vacation last week, my family and I, we went to see the movie Inside Out 2. I love this movie. It puts into cartoon form all the things about the mind that I talk about all the time on this show. So I just want to use that movie to describe um, the importance of the subconscious mind and the workings of the subconscious mind. So if you're not familiar with this movie, it's about a girl named Riley, and it shows the inner workings of Riley's brain. It shows it as, in her brain, there's a group of emotions, and they're like running a switchboard. So I really related to Inside Out 2 because it's actually Riley in puberty and all these hormonal changes and things happening. Of course, I am experiencing that with my own children. So, it really looked like this switchboard that had been ran in a certain way for so many years was like now malfunctioning. And, that it was like overfiring and overreacting and shifting emotions really quickly. So, and there's this one scene in the beginning that I really loved where joy, the emotion joy and the emotion sadness, they go back into the inner workings of Riley's minds, into the main islands of thought in her mind. And when they go in there, sadness says, "Where's Family Island?" And Joy says, "Oh, it's still in here. It's just way back there. It's that little spot way back there." And poor sadness has to like take these binoculars, right? And to see Family Island. Oh my gosh, I really relate to this. Family being so much in the background um, for, oh, there's my husband. Um, so much in the background for an adolescent, right? As they move into their independence and as they developmentally appropriately gain their autonomy and whatnot. But it's a really painful thing for parents to deal with when family is so far in the background. But I really related to that. Anyway, if you really listen to this story, you will find that it demonstrates how our core beliefs are held in the back of our minds. They are created through experiences, which are depicted in the show as memories. And these memories, it's like they develop these chords, like a guitar chord, that are kind of plucked as different current life experiences happen. They pluck the chord of past experiences, those memories, and they pluck the chord of those emotions. And I really thought that was a nice analogy for that. And it really creates this lens that we view our lives through. So now getting back to that question, would I have been able to discover the very originating experiences that caused these false beliefs and all these emotions in me that I was reactive to? I think not, because these experiences, they were so far locked away in my mind that I had no conscious memory of them or awareness of them. So now there was also a part in this movie where a new feeling, anxiety, was trying to take over Riley's brain. And in doing so, anxiety took those old feelings of joy and anger and sadness. She had them captured and taken to a vault deep within Riley's mind. And it was kind of cute because once they were in that vault, locked up in that vault, they became suppressed feelings. So they were locked up in that vault in Riley's mind, along with Riley's deepest, darkest secrets. Now, I would argue that our experiences that have caused us the most pain and are the origins of our most harmful beliefs about ourselves are also locked up in those vaults in our brains. So these are experiences that we subconsciously do our best to suppress so that we can function in our daily living and survive. And it makes sense, our mind's primary, like its main job is to keep us alive. So it's developed this system of locking things away that are so painful that it threatens our survival. So now, however, we've also talked so many times before about how these vaults, they're not helpful because they really cause us ongoing suffering from emotions that we have locked up in there. And we also know that these vaults are faulty, right? They're completely inept when it comes to keeping these emotions locked up. These emotions, they always find a way out of the vault. They seep into our everyday experience. They shape our beliefs about ourselves. They manipulate our thinking as to how we experience lives. They color our perceptions. They even can create physical illness in us. So healing in the subconscious mind, it allows us immediate access to that vault. How does it do this? Well, we access that vault through a process of relaxation that can be guided. You can do it yourself meditatively. In hypnosis, it's called a hypnotic induction, being guided to this place of relaxation. And it allows your mind and body to reach a state of relaxation that puts our nervous system to sleep. Remember how I talked about the nervous system being activated in work in the conscious mind? So once our nervous system is asleep, the conscious mind is able to step aside and allow access to that subconscious mind, to that vault. Our conscious mind, it actually becomes like an observer as we do the work and access the memories in our subconscious mind. So, in the subconscious mind, it holds every memory of every experience and the emotion attached that we've had in our lifetime. Truth be told, it actually, if we want to get like super woo-wooey, which I love and I am, we can actually access our past life experiences and emotions attached and do healing in our past life experiences. But, in our subconscious mind, we can access our higher selves. We can access our spirit guides. It's just like a magical place to be in. So anyway, by putting our nervous system asleep through deep relaxation, you bypass those difficulties around building trust because you're calm and you're feeling safe and relaxed. Your nervous system is asleep. So you also are able to get past, bypass those defensive mechanisms that have been put in place to protect you, to get past those walls that we have built up inside ourselves to protect us because you're in a calm, peaceful state. So that's not to say that you wouldn't feel emotion in a hypnotherapy session, but you experience the emotion as you review it. You don't relive it, and so it's a much safer kind of feeling to it, and that's how you can stay in your calm, relaxed mind and body. So in this state, your beautiful mind, it goes straight to the most relevant past experiences, those very originating experiences that set those core beliefs and emotions into action. I'm always just so amazed at how easily our subconscious mind goes right to those core originating events. It really seems magical. It's really remarkable. So, um, I'll use myself as an example again. I have shared with you that I had a childhood that was stable and safe. I had great parents who were always there for me. They stayed married through my whole childhood. They actually stayed married there until my dad passed away. They're very loving parents. However, I was this child that was absolutely consumed with anxiety, like completely throughout my whole life and well into my adulthood. Why would a securely attached child have so much anxiety? It didn't make sense, and I didn't know. So, through hypnotherapy, I was able to access that vault and unlock the the originating core experiences that started the anxiety and set these core beliefs into motion that then moved me throughout the majority of my lifetime. I was able to go into that vault and unlock it. So this was all stuff that produced my healing. So I've shared that experience before. That's the experience of me being in the hospital bed, and I went back to 1.5 years old when my mom had to leave me. And I developed in that moment the understanding that I had to, a core belief that I had to be invisible to be safe. And that kind of morphed throughout my life into this I don't matter and caused me big problems with people, um, taking advantage of me and controlling me and me not using my voice and whatnot until I did the healing. But it was all unlocked in the experience of hypnotherapy. So this is something that I could never have accessed. I do believe I could never have accessed and never healed without accessing my subconscious mind. So it just holds all the answers, and it's ready, willing, and able to show you them, to bring them to them, and it's ready, willing, and able to do the healing if you allow it to, and put a true end to that suffering and allow you to move forward in your life. All right, so it's already time to take another commercial break. When we return, I'm going to share with you another example of healing that was done in the subconscious mind that came after the person had done years and years of mental health therapy and the conscious mind that had failed to bring about long-term healing. I'm going to give you that example and share a few final thoughts. So you're watching Talks with Tracy on Bold Brave Television. I'll be right back.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back to Talks with Tracy, coming to you live on Bold Brave Television Network. Thank you for joining me for this final segment. I have been talking today about doing healing in the conscious mind and doing healing in the subconscious mind. I'm trying to show you what each looks like and draw some comparisons. I must admit, I do have a bias towards healing in the subconscious mind simply because it's like a fast track to healing. It's a much faster process and it gets to the very root cause of the emotional suffering that sometimes we don't have conscious awareness of. And it can provide permanent relief and change your life. My experience in hypnotherapy, with hypnotherapy and doing the healing, certainly changed my life and allowed me to be here with you all today. So, hypnotherapy is one of those ways of doing healing. And the great thing about hypnotherapy as well, and I'll talk more about this in future episodes, but it allows the opportunity to instill new suggestions, new beliefs about yourself that serve you better. Things like, I am worthy, I am worthy of love, I am lovable, I have healthy, meaningful relationships in my life, I am enough, I deserve to be treated in the best of ways, all of those things. And through repeated exposure to suggestions like that, then we can develop new core beliefs about ourselves, and we can create these neural pathways in our brains that serve us, to our highest potential, help us reach our highest potential. So how exciting is that? It's long-term permanent healing. So I do have that bias. So I do want to share one more example of healing that was done in the subconscious brain after years of traditional mental health therapy using the conscious mind really failed to bring about permanent healing. So now I have had the beautiful and wonderful Katie Howard on my show a couple of times now. She's a friend to the show, and she has graciously shared her experience with healing. Um, with healing. Oh, thank you for the message. Um, I absolutely want to be an inspiration, and that person just put a message. It's actually my sister that I inspire her to continue to grow, and that's what we're all about here. Anyway, Katie had years and years of regular traditional mental health therapy to address issues related to sexual abuse experiences that she had in her childhood. So, consciously she thought she knew the problem. However, even after all of this therapy, she had not experienced true relief, and she was in a crisis in depression and anxiety state when she came to me and asked me to do hypnotherapy with her. So we did hypnotherapy, and once we reached that relaxed meditative state through the hypnotic induction, I regressed her back to the core originating experience. Now, we did go back to that sexual assault experience, but the subconscious mind, her subconscious mind, revealed what the true issue around that experience was. Now, you would think that it was the physical assault, but what the subconscious mind showed us was that it was actually a betrayal by somebody, a relative who was also in the room at the time, who did not intervene and help her. And we knew that because in her subconscious mind, when I asked her what is happening, the first thing she said is, he's just standing there watching. So she had been working on the actual act that happened for years, when actually the most damaging part of that experience was the betrayal by somebody she loved and trusted to protect her when they didn't intervene. So once we discovered that, we went in and did the healing around that. She had a dialogue with her herder, who was the relative who didn't intervene, and she came to a place of understanding, and she chose to forgive. And when she chose to forgive that person, she released that emotion, and her depression and anxiety then lifted, and she was able to go on, and she's doing great things. So, that was all part of that experience that was stuck within her, that I don't believe she would have accessed through her conscious mind because she didn't have awareness of it. So that's just one example, one more example um, of the importance of doing healing in your subconscious mind. So I can tell you without a doubt that the healing that took place in that one therapy session was really incredible healing. So I do want to offer some final thoughts for today. I want to circle back around and remind everyone that healing is available to all of us. Today, I just wanted to provide examples of how you could do that. It's your choice how you do this, and whatever works for you. I just encourage you to do something, because you deserve that healing, and you deserve to put an end to suffering and experience joy. So when I was on vacation, I was reading a book called Your Soul's Love: Living the Love You Planned Before You Were Born by Robert Schwartz, and I love his books. They're amazing. And in his writings, he provides transcripts of sessions where people communicate with their spirit guides and whatnot, and there's channeling that's done and messages that come from the other side. So I want to share a quote from that message. It's a message from the other side. So this spirit guide said, "Always, always treat yourself as if you were your own child. Love yourself compassionately through your life, so when you make what you think is a mistake or an error in judgment, you're able to then say to yourself, 'That's all right. Maybe that happened this time. It's a learning experience. I still love myself, and next time I'll do better.'" Whatever the words, this is still the quote, whatever the words you might say, take the attitude that you're your very own child, whom you love with all your heart and soul, whom you would never want to hurt. Love yourself from the ground up. And that will foster a more adaptive, loving response to life itself within your heart, within your own personal energy. That's a quote and a message from the other side, and I just love that. So I encourage you to live in that way and treat yourself with the ultimate compassion and love. So that's my plea to end the show today. Whether you choose traditional therapy or other kinds of other kinds of therapy, just do something for yourself, and keep that growth going. There's so many people out there to guide you in so many different ways, and the choice is yours. See what fits, see what feels good. Make yourself a priority. Treat yourself with patience and kindness. Have compassion for yourself. Give yourself forgiveness. Offer yourself grace. You matter in this world, and you deserve peace and joy. All right. Well, thank you for listening today. I am so happy to be back. Now, next Thursday is the 4th of July. Please have a safe and happy 4th of July. We won't be having shows on the 4th of July because it's a holiday, and we're going to be celebrating too. So next time will be July 11th, at which time I will be launching into those episodes about hypnotherapy. So until next time, again, do a little self-care out there. I will do the same. This has been Talks with Tracy on Bold Brave Television Network. I'll see you next time.
This has been Talks with Tracy. Join us each week as Tracy and her guests will come together and realize that underneath it all, we are all the same and never alone. So join us each week and let Talks with Tracy be your safe place to land in your healing journey. Right here, Thursdays, 11 a.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network.